How's it going, guys? So today we have more of a sad and disturbing video. I just want to address the two situations that have happened in the past couple of days. The two mass shootings. The first one being in El Paso and the other one in Dayton. I'm sorry if you guys hear music playing in the background. My next door neighbors are out there having a little get together with their family, and they're playing music, and I can't knock them for that. It's a nice Sunday outside, so they did do their thing. I'll speak up so that you can hear me over the music, because this is a video that has more of a sad and a difficult undertone to it. I did record this video already once, but I didn't have all of the research that I did earlier on today pulled up, so I didn't have anything to look at, so I was sort of guessing and stuff. I read a couple of articles. I believe one was from CBS, and the other one was from the New York Times. And I read up on the situations, as well as just looking at what people had to say about it on social media, and some stuff, including things that our president had to say about it, President Donald Trump. And I just want to address the situation, get a conversation going with you guys about what you guys feel about this, because two mass shootings in the span of 24 hours, I don't believe that that's okay. And I believe that it needs to be talked about, and it needs to be talked about until it's fixed. Because if it's not talked about until it's fixed, it's just going to happen again. And both of the situations are so horrific. And I know it's a sensitive topic, so I don't want anyone that watches this video to think that I'm critiquing what's going on or blaming somebody for what's happened, because obviously at the end of the day, these are two incidents where people's lives have been taken from them. So to the families of everyone lost in Dayton and in El Paso, my heart goes out to you. I honestly can't even imagine what those families feel. If I'm looking off to the right hand side, it's because I got my laptop here with the articles that I was referencing earlier, and I want to address that. Sorry for the longer intro, but I thought I needed to say all of that because it's a more sensitive topic. I can't just jump straight in, and well, here we go. So first off, I want to address the two situations, and I'll do that by starting off with the Dayton shooting. So I've got a little article here pulled up. It's what we know about the Dayton shooting, and this is from a CBS news article. In the Dayton shooting, 9 people were killed, 27 others were injured. The gunman was killed in that incident. The suspect was identified to be 24-year-old Connor Betts, does it say, of Bellbrook, Ohio. He didn't have a record with the police. He had not much is known about him, and that's why this incident was so strange, because they don't know much about the guy, and they don't know really who he is or why he did what he did. He used an assault rifle, a .223 caliber weapon. He had body armor and high capacity mags, so it's obvious that this guy planned this. He had this probably festering in his mind for a while, and he took action. They say it's not a hate crime, but happening so close to the El Paso incident, which I'll address soon, which was clearly a hate crime, and clearly an act of terrorism. Both obviously are acts of terrorism, but I believe the El Paso one was very, very heavily derived from racial tensions that have been stirred by our president, Donald J. Trump. And so that's what we know about the Dayton shooting so far, and it's horrible to even think, that within 24 hours both of these things could occur. Within the span of one day happening, the sun rising and the sun setting, within the span of that happening once, that 29 people lost their lives. And I don't know. It's strange. And this Connor Betts guy, he was killed in the incident, and so he won't be able to pay retribution for what he's done. And I don't know. The 9 people killed were actually identified by the police in the Dayton incident, and I'll list off their names. And this is where they say like, oh, it wasn't a hate crime becomes questioned or gets put into question, because of the 9 people killed, I believe they said, no, oh, sorry. So one of the people was the guy's sister. So his sister was killed, but of the other 8, 6 of them were black. And obviously that could be complete coincidence. But then again, this is a man who's aiming a gun. And of course, in that situation, there's a high black population in that area, so he could just be, shooting and happen to hit more black people than not. But so there's Lois L. Oglesby. She was 27, a black female. My heart goes out to the Oglesby family. Saeed Saleh, I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher the name. Saleh, he was 38. He was a black male. Derek R. Fudge, he was 57. He was a black male. Logan Turner, he was 30. He was a white male. Nicholas P. Cumer, he was 25, a white male. Thomas J. McNichols, 25, black male. Beatrice N. Warren Curtis, 36, a black female. Monica E. Brickhouse, 39, a black female. Authorities said that it was unlikely that a gun shooter shot individuals based on their race, but I highly doubt that. The police officers responded within a minute of the incident. It happened at 1:07 a.m. And they were there at 1:08 p.m., resulting in the gunman being shot and killed. And that is the sort of background information of the Dayton shooting. So to the Oglesby, the Saleh, the Fudge, the Turner, the Cumer, the McNichols, the Warren Curtis, and the Brickhouse family, my heart goes out to you. And what has happened can never be paid for. I know you've lost people that you've loved, and it's just it's unspeakable to think that something like this could happen. It's truly like heart-wrenching to think that something like this could happen. And then in the other incident in El Paso, which was more gruesome, there was actually more known about this guy than there was about the shooter in the Dayton shooting. In the Dayton shooting, the suspect or the shooter is named Patrick Crusius. He was 21. He lived in Dallas. And on the day of the shooting, he shot and killed at least 19 people with an AK-47 style rifle at a Walmart in El Paso. It was a white supremacist male who committed this act of terror. He's said to idolize Donald Trump and the KKK leader David Duke, as well as Dylan Roof, who's a white supremacist who shot up the black church in Charleston, if you guys remember that incident. He drove to El Paso because there's a large Hispanic American population there, and he wanted to target Hispanic Americans, probably because our leader, President Donald Trump, has said on multiple occasions that Mexicans and Hispanics of similar ethnicity to the Mexicans, that they are rapists and criminals. And what he's done by doing that is he stirred up people who are blind, who are willing to just, act upon his word. And he's made them actually believe that these people are criminals and that they're infesting which is a word that he uses a lot, infestation or infest, in reference to Hispanics or to colored people in general. And he's made them believe this so that they're willing to go out and they're willing to take out as many as they can in an act of honoring their leader, or honoring in their head, their God, their newfound prophet. Speaking of Donald Trump, he hit social media when these two events happened. In his first message, he says that he authorized the lowering of the flags to half-staff at all federal government buildings in honor of the victims of the tragedies in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. And then followed up that one saying the flags at the White House will be lowered today throughout Thursday. This was, today. So today through Thursday, August 8th, and that him and Melania will be praying for all of those impacted by this unspeakable act of evil. As you can see by the little picture that I put up on the screen, someone is not happy with what he has said, and the reason for this is because the people that are doing these things are referencing you as their reason for doing it. So you saying, "Oh, well, we're honoring the families and we're incredibly, saddened by what's happening." You're the reason it's happening, and you're just turning a blind eye to that. And I don't understand how this man could be he doesn't care. It's insane how much he doesn't care. Darshell Stevens says, F off with your mere thoughts and prayers. We need to do something. We need change. Lowering flags isn't going to save lives. More must be done. Darshell Stevens, you are very, very correct. Lowering a flag and giving a speech is not going to change much, especially knowing your speeches. You're probably going to cause another one of these. And others actually hit to social media as well. Some pointing out the racial tensions or the racial tones of both of these acts of terrorism against America. And I believe I have an image that I'll put up of at Will Gaffney, who's a black identity extremist, says, I knew the El Paso shooter was a white man when they started talking about how the brain isn't fully formed at 21. They mentioned how, because he's 21 years old, his brain isn't fully formed and he's not able to competently think. And of course it did. And she says, because they treat black children like adults at 9, 10, 11, and 12, obviously in reference to how, the police don't seem to mind what these black kids' age are and how their brains aren't fully formed when they're doing what they're doing. They just pull a trigger. But when it's a white male who commits an act of terrorism, it's very easy to go, oh, well, his brain isn't fully formed. And it's obviously just scapegoating in a way to try to, you guys know. I don't want to get into race now. Because this incident is much more than just race and much more than just, it's really just about hatred and how it can boil over into something that it shouldn't be. Producer and director Michael Skolnick pointed out how Americans are quick to, Trump supporters are quick to, shun immigration. And the supporting of people coming from different countries. But the El Paso shooter wasn't an immigrant. The Parkland shooter wasn't an immigrant. The Tree of Life shooter wasn't an immigrant. The Las Vegas shooter was not an immigrant. The Borderline Bar shooter was not an immigrant. The Sandy Hook shooter was not an immigrant. And he goes on and he lists more, but I sort of cut off in this picture. But all of these mass shootings, none of these guys are immigrants. These are all white males who were born here and raised with American values, who are committing acts of terrorism against their own people in the name of America. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. News outlets actually tried to blame video games for the reason why these shootings happen, and a really stupid statement. Just really stupid. First of all, I want to say, as much as I can bash Donald Trump, there's no single cause of these things happening. He's not the one reason that this happened. There's obviously mental illnesses and, upbringings and all these things to factor in. But a single cause is not the thing. Saying video games caused this, and a very, very great rapper, and someone that I've been following for a while now, since I first started high school up until now, and I've watched him grow. VI Second, 6 Second, my boy Shizzy, he actually had to speak about this. He said, and I'll read it word for word, I'll be cursing, I'm sorry. So he says, y'all niggas gonna blame GTA every time some beta male commits a violent crime. I play Mario every effing day, and I ain't jump on a single turtle a day in my motherfucking life. Dating Sims don't even help niggas get pussy, LMAO. Gotta hear. Dumb niggas do dumb nigga shit. Shut up. And I agree with him on that. And he also released another tweet saying, stop playing video games for niggas shooting some shit up. Pokemon doesn't make people make random animals fight each other. Street Fighter doesn't have people starting brawls on the street. Hell, most of the people that are nice at 2K don't even play ball. Cut the BSB. Which is facts. I don't even need to address this claim. Video games have nothing to do with what is going on here. These people made conscious decisions to do what they did based off of political views, their upbringing, mental issues, and all of that cultivates into these acts of terrorism and these violent acts. Do not try and blame video games for these things happening. You're making yourself look stupid. And I think I'll end it off by just throwing up a little video of O'Rourke. He had words to say about how he believes President Trump has influenced these two events happening and all the other events that have happened within his presidency, and how racial tension has bubbled up and boiled over ever since day one of him being elected into office. So I'll leave it over to O'Rourke.
We've had a rise in hate crimes every single one of the last 3 years during an administration where you have a president who's called Mexicans rapists and criminals. Though Mexican immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than those born here in the country, he has tried to make us afraid of them to some real effect and consequence. Attempting to ban all Muslims from this country. The day that he signed that executive order, the mosque in Victoria, Texas was burned to the ground. Those chants that we heard in Greenville, North Carolina, send her back, talking about our fellow American citizens duly elected to represent their constituents in the Congress who happen to be women of color. He is a racist, and he stokes racism in this country, and it does not just offend our sensibilities, it fundamentally changes the character of this country, and it leads to violence. And again, there are still details that we are waiting on, but I'm just following the lead that I've heard from the El Paso Police Department, where they say there are strong indications that this shooter wrote that manifesto and that this was inspired by his hatred of people here in this community.